before we came here. So yes, but thank you for having us. And whenever you guys want us back, please reach out. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes. Yeah. For our next agenda item, a special presentation, Public Works Director Brian McMinn will lead us in this presentation. This is the only special presentation for this evening, and he will introduce our new maintenance superintendent.
Yes, I'd like to think it's a special presentation. I'm Brian McMinn, Public Works Director, and I'll ask Juan Perez to join me here. Juan Carlos Perez Jr., I'll let him sort that out for you, is joining the city team here as the maintenance superintendent. He's coming from the South Monterey County Union High School District, and he lives with his family in Salinas, so not too far from us here, but I'll ask Juan to join us and he can share a little bit about his background and his family. So,
thanks. Thank you, Brian, and good evening, council members. I'm really happy to be here. And so superintendent for the city of Marina now. I have a week and a half here with the city and it's been great. People are great here. So love this city. It's beautiful. I'm born and raised in this county. So really lucky to be and have the opportunity to stay in this county because it's really beautiful. And I've been other places and they don't equate to this area. So really lucky to be here. A quick background for myself is bachelor's degree in construction management. So I've worked in the trades, lucky to have my degree and continue to have the background in construction and look forward to working for the city and helping to bring in, be a part of the city here and bringing my knowledge and experience to the city to keep it beautiful and possibly improve what's already here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as you know, there's a lot of maintenance work to be done in the city. I don't think you need to be bored for quite a while. So we're very happy that you joined the Public Works Department. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And I see that Councilmember Biala would like to speak as well.
Yes, I just want to heartily welcome you from our city council. You have no idea how much we need you. So thank you for choosing us. And I'm really envious that you already got your jacket with the envelope. And I was going, you know how many times the city council looks at those things and say, how come we don't have that? So you're one of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would say if you want a jacket, you have to volunteer to fill potholes at least one day a month to wear the uniform of Public Works. So.
Okay, next item is council and staff announcements. So first, do any of the council members have announcements that you would like to make? Councilmember McCarthy?
Thank you, Mayor. And I really have my ducks in a row, but two quick announcements. This Friday, the 19th, the Community for Human Services is having a pallet shelter demonstration. So it's kind of like a tiny home demonstration, and that's at the Schumann Heart House, which is the new shelter in Monterey. That's from 10 to 4. It's open to the public if anyone's interested or council members. Go view some of the things that they're looking at in the space of tiny homes. The second announcement I have, a little personal to me, is tomorrow in Washington, D.C., they are holding a menthol funeral. I know this council has done a lot of work on tobacco control, which is something I'm extremely proud of and grateful that this council has done that. But tomorrow there's a funeral for menthol, and they're just looking at trying to continue that work. And it's put on by, I'm going to say it wrong, but I think it's Save Black Lives, because we know menthol disproportionately affects communities of color. And so I just wanted to honor and recognize that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember McCarthy. And I see Councilmember Christina Medina Dirksen would like to make an announcement.
Sure. Before I get to my big announcement, I want to steal Rec Director Andrea's thunder and let you all know that there's a Puzzle Palooza happening. I'm very excited about this. It's the first event for adults over 18, and it's going to happen on the 29th. The city is putting it on from 6:30 to 9 o'clock, and teams of people who can come together, sign up with Carolina and do a puzzle. It's a competition. So I will be there. My another announcement is something that is a little hard for me to share with you all, and I'm really appreciating the supportive faces in the audience, and I really appreciate you being here, my family being here. But this letter is to the mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and my esteemed colleagues on the Marina City Council, our department directors, our city staff, residents of Marina, and Fred, who's always here taping us for AMP. Gonna get a chuckle out of him. I've had the real absolute honor of my lifetime, being trusted with moving this community forward where I call home, where I am choosing to raise my family. Um, I've been on this council since 2020, and with much heavy heart and a whole lot of thought, I'm announcing tonight that I'm going to be stepping down. Unfortunately, I'm going to be resigning effective the end of the month. And the reason is I'm torn because we were doing such an amazing job. But I've got a new job, a position that's going to really allow for some opportunities for my family, who've been really through all of this together with me, whether they like it or not. They've been at community events since, family. My husband's on shift tonight, 72 hours, and family service, community service is really our family value. So I appreciate if he's watching. Thank you for being with me and allowing our family to do this important work. The job that I'm going to be doing will be transformative. It's going to be bigger than Marina. I'm very excited about being able to work, bringing some top tier healthcare options to Monterey County and beyond, and it really requires my full attention. So I want to say that I'm extremely proud of this body, of all of you, the work that we have put in together. I'm very sad that I won't be working with our new city attorney. It's thrilling to have him here, but we've accomplished so much in just shy of 4 years. My term would be up in November. We've put together economic vitality like the city has never seen. We brought Joby to the forefront and helped as long as we could, and that's opening up options with a lot of other partners in our community. Businesses continue to thrive, and we are supportive of them. We've opened up a pump track for our youth. We've invested incredibly in recreation. We've got a new deck out at Los Arboles thanks to community cheerleaders who've been behind that and the scoreboard. But these are really small, might seem like small things, but they're really big because we've put the capacity in. We've had new directors, we have a full staff, and all of these things have just make me incredibly proud to move this city forward and continue to see it go forward. So it's not goodbye. It's definitely me taking a little bit of a step back, but being behind the scenes and helping however I can. Got a lot of phone calls of support today, and my number one thing is if you ever need anything, I'm still the go-to person to help raise funds for whatever it is or help push good people in good directions. So I'd like to thank our dedicated staff, the directors, the protectors of our city, our police and fire and public work for everything they do. They give their talents to us every single day, and I'm forever grateful for that. It's been the honor to be the District 3 council person, Mayor Pro Tem on boards such as TAMSI and AMP for a while. And I thank the voters for letting me do that. I really do. So I just want to with all my heart, say thank you for this opportunity to the voters of Monterey County who let me sit here and let me make decisions and listen and change my mind and challenge me. It's been a really great growing opportunity for me. So I thank you all for this chance, Anita, for sticking with us way into the night. But I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Medina Dirksen. Would any of the council members like to say anything at this moment? Oh, ladies on the line. Oh. Councilmember Biala?
I think, does Lane want to say something first?
Oh, let me ask. City Manager Lane Long, would you like to speak?
Yeah, sure. And, you know, the community won't really realize how much we're going to miss Christina on the council. She has been such a passion and just a thrill to work with from everyone from our staff. And you see the momentum going forward. And as she shared this with me a while back, it was like devastating, but I'm really excited for her new opportunities and she has promised, as she mentioned, that she's going to stay engaged with us, and we have a lot to do in the future. And so I give her my heartfelt thanks and support for her new exciting career. One thing I wanted to make everyone aware is, as far as the processes and procedures to fill her seat, the city council has 40 days from the effective date of her resignation to appoint a new person to fill that seat. And it's only for the remainder of her term. And so on February 6th, we'll be bringing back a time frame to the council, and we'll follow our same procedures that we have previously done. And we'll accept applications. There'll be a 10-day to a 2-week deadline. Council will review the applications, and then we'll be establishing a special council meeting in which council will accept presentations from all the applicants. They'll ask questions, we'll take public comment, and then by ballot, the city council will select the person to fill that seat. And we'll be bringing all that detail back to the council on the next meeting on February 6th.
Thank you very much, Mr. Long.
Thank you.
Councilmember Biala?
Thank you. I'm not sure how to address you. Are you Mayor Pro Tem? Thank you for that. So Christina and I both got elected in 2020, and I have to say that I am so grateful that you were courageous enough, and me too, to go ahead and embark on something that we were very unfamiliar with. And, you know, this is really an important thing, I think, for two women of color to come on board and to campaign in 2020 when we weren't even really sure about how COVID was contagious or what we should do. It was before even vaccines that we were out there knocking on doors and trying to do the best we could. So, you know, our campaigns were synergetic, and I think that we really contributed something very special to our council and to the future. And I'm glad you covered some of the major things that we've accomplished thus far. And of course, we have so many more things ahead of us. And I know that you're going to be behind the scenes rooting for us and helping us in any way you can. And when I see your 3 daughters there in the audience, and I say, my gosh, you have such a good role model of a strong woman who is courageous and has dedicated so much of her life to civic duty. So I hope you follow in her footsteps, not within the next 5 years, but eventually. So thank you for being here, and thank you for having such a wonderful mother. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you, Kathy. And Councilmember McCarthy?
Thank you, Mayor. So many stories I want to share from the moment Christina and I met in the back of this very room back before Zoom existed. And, you know, we were talking about running for council, and my heart kind of sank because I was considering the same thing. And we ended up going to district, so we didn't end up running against each other anyway. But what I really want to do is echo Councilmember Biala and say thank you to the family. I'm not going to call them out because I know they're a little bit shy. I wish Doug was here because it is incredible to me that so many of us, Christina included, step into these roles knowing the tremendous impact that it has on your family. And I know Christina would say that it's no different for her. And so I want to just thank the family for kind of standing by that and supporting that. You have contributed so much to this council. You have helped fundamentally change the conversation and how we interact with each other. And I am optimistic but nervous about how we move forward without you. But what I'm grateful for is I know that you bleed community service. And so you're not going away. You're going to be here, and I know you're going to continue to contribute. I thank you for everything you've done, and I thank you for everything you're going to do. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember McCarthy. And now it's my turn, I guess. I don't want to make her cry. So Christina and I, we met before we even thought about running for city council, when we had knocked on many doors for some ballot measures that all passed, by the way. So this was shortly after I moved here. And of course, we, like others already said, we will miss you so tremendously. But I know this is such a great opportunity for not just yourself, but for your entire family. And I know that you will always be a supporter for our city and its residents. And like we already discovered, the only silver lining is that we will be able to talk about anything after the 28th of this month. So which I'm looking forward to, because I always like to hear your ideas. And of course, with the Brown Act, we need to be very careful. And I see the city attorney here. So just like all the other ones, Christina, thank you so very much for all you have done. And I'm also looking forward to still seeing you. Thank you. Do any members of the staff have announcements that they would like to make at this moment? No? Oh, yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Just wanted to quickly update the council and the community on our BMR program and kind of how that's moving along. I know every so often I get the questions. So for the Sea Haven homes at this point, just before Christmas, we were able to close on 4 of them. So we have 4 new families living in a BMR home in Sea Haven. We set a goal over the next 3 months to do 10 a month. So it's going to ramp up a little bit more. There's just a lot of paperwork in the background to get things moving. And then for the USA Properties site, they have now found 51 units with renters, to move right in there. And that's phase 1 of that project that's on the corner of 4th and Imgen. And there's going to be another, basically phase 2 that they're looking to rent up now that'll open a little bit later on. I believe they had some delays because of PG&E issues and other things, like typical. We've heard that story quite a bit lately. So anyway, just a quick update there. And if you have any questions, you can let me know later.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mogensen. Councilmember Biana?
I just want, you said US Properties, and for the public out there, he's talking about the Terracino apartments right behind, up the road from REI. So that's what he's referring to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you. Thank you very much. Just wanted to remind everyone that this is Wellness Week for Marina Recreation. We have a wide variety of group exercise classes, cooking demonstrations, walk and talks. All of the information is online. We're really trying to push people to our website as opposed to handing out flyers so much. So if you're interested, please look at our website. You can sign up for all these activities. They're all free this week. Starting Monday, the 22nd, I think it is, we will be offering the same 13 group exercise classes that we're offering this week. But there will be a registration and fee for those classes. It's kind of our initial adult kind of group fitness exercise program that we're launching. Very reasonable costs. And we also will be able to offer some financial assistance if needed. So please go check that out. It's a really great program. And then just want to double down on Puzzle Palooza. That will be happening on Monday, the 29th, which is World Puzzle Day. And it's a team competition. There'll be fun prizes, and it's just going to be a really fun atmosphere. So basically you sign up as a team, up to 4 people. Everyone will get the same exact puzzle, and the first one to complete the puzzle wins the prize. So again, all that information is online. Please go check it out on our website. Thank you.
thank you very much. Sounds exciting. Next item is public comments. So this section of the agenda is for general public comments and comments relating to items that are on the consent agenda. Any member of the public may comment on any matter within the city council's jurisdiction that is not on the agenda. And this is also the appropriate place to comment on items on the consent agenda. Action will not be taken on items not on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. General public comment may be limited to 30 minutes and or continue to the end of the agenda. Any member of the public may comment on any matter listed on this agenda at the time the matter is being considered by the city council. And whenever possible, written correspondence should be submitted to the council in advance of the meeting to provide adequate time for its consideration. Anybody who would like to speak here in council chambers or on Zoom, please raise your hands. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people here in chambers. And how many do we have? And one, okay. So we can let everybody speak at this moment. So let's start with the people here in the room. Mr. Chamber Roland, would you like to come up? Chandler Roland, I'm sorry.
I'm commenting on an item that is not on the agenda. Chandler Rowland, a Marina resident. There is a chance the California Coastal Commission will approve the MST Surf project. That is 2 new express bus lanes between Marina and Seaside transit stations, destroying 6 miles of environmental landscape and costing possibly $100 million in taxpayer grant funds. If this was a historical Native American land or historical Spanish Latino land, the surf project would have been rejected by the cities involved years ago. But since this is a vanilla chocolate flavored American land, city council members, mayors, council supervisors have, to my knowledge, shown little concern in MST's misleading, inaccurate statements regarding the project, which has only one benefit to low-income ridership by saving a total of 10 minutes in bus travel time between stations. The reason the Coastal Commission could approve the surf project is the 12 members are political nominees. There are political appointees. Political friendships are paramount in Monterey County. So after 550 days of construction on the surf project, granite rock stock will approximately increase in value. And MST's general and assistant managers will receive either salary incentives or bonuses. After all, political friendships has its rewards.
Thank you, Mr. Chandler Roland. Our supervisor, Wendy Root Askew, is here.
Thank you for
Welcome.
having me. It's been a while since I've been in board chambers, and I have to say it's not the same without Mike Owen. So I'm just reflecting on that as I'm standing here today. I'm making the rounds just to say Happy New Year and give some updates about what I'm doing as your District 4 supervisor. We unfortunately missed our Happy New Year updates last year due to significant flooding and emergencies that we were dealing with. But I did want to take a moment to just come around. I'll be starting my 4th year as the District 4 County Supervisor. It's an absolute honor to represent the 5 cities in District 4, Marina being one of them. My committee assignments for 2024 remain largely unchanged from previous years, significantly including the Capital Improvements Committee, which is critical as we work on identifying a site to build and expand the Marina Health Clinic. I also will continue to serve on the Central California Alliance for Health, which is significant given the significant expansion of Medi-Cal that we're currently rolling out right now. We're adding thousands of previously ineligible folks onto the Medi-Cal rolls. So everyone, regardless of their documentation status, who's low income, is now eligible to join us and receive access to quality health care that the county and other service providers provide. Next month, I'm headed to Washington, D.C. to represent our region at the National Association of Counties Conference, where I sit on the Health Policy Committee. I will be presenting some resolutions in support of veterans and military health care enhancements. Let's see here. We have lots of stuff that's in the works, but just I'll highlight three things in particular. The expansion of Medi-Cal is significant, and if at some point the city would like to get some information out to residents, we'd be happy to help make that happen. The Monterey Bay Air District, we have a $750 e-bike rebate that's currently available while funds last. We're really looking at trying to help residents trade their car for an e-bike option. And then the Four-Tag Trail, we've got a number of different segments that are fully funded, and we're beginning work to build those out. I had a series of town hall meetings last year in person. We made the rounds, co-hosted a town hall with our mayor here in Marina, as well as all of the other cities. This year, we're continuing our virtual series of Wednesdays with Wendy. So those are online town halls. We just came from one right now. The homeless point in time count is still in need of volunteers. So if anyone's interested in volunteering for that program, we would really benefit and appreciate all of the hands we can get. The county and our region as a whole have continued to see a reduction for the past 4 years in our total homeless numbers. This count this year will be a test of how well we've done in this past year working together in coordination. I will be reaching out to all of our electeds this coming week. If you haven't already heard from us, we're hosting a tour of the Department of Emergency Management, where the counties continue to invest additional resources into ensuring that we're able to respond to emergencies. And mostly, I just want to say that I really value the working, positive, collaborative working relationship with the city of Marina, with your mayor, with your city council, with your city manager, and I look forward to continuing that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Wendy.
Good evening, Madam Mayor Pro Tem and council members. My name is Jenny McAdams. I'm a Marina resident. I wanted to just thank Council Member Medina Dirksen for her incredible work and time serving on the council. We are, my family and I are fairly new residents to Marina, and you have just been so welcoming. I'm really inspired by your grace, and I just wanted to thank you. I can't wait to see what you have in store, and I know that you will be no stranger to the community. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Danny.
Good evening. My name is John Canoli, and I'm the Vice President and Provost, Vice President of Academic Affairs and Provost at Monterey Peninsula College. I'm joined also by my colleague, Larry Walker, who is our Vice President of Student Services. On behalf of Monterey Peninsula College and our Superintendent President, Dr. Marshall Fulbright, our Board of Trustees, including Trustee Yuri Anderson, who represents the City of Marina, we are excited to extend an invitation to the City Council and the broader community to a series of upcoming events hosted by MPC that are designed to solicit input from the community on critical planning activities that will help shape the future of MPC. First, we're reviewing and revising our college mission statement, as well as establishing a new vision and value statement. This is an important part of our commitment to continuous improvement and to ensure that we remain focused on the needs of our community. The work that we are going to do in this effort is going to set the stage for upcoming efforts to develop a new educational strategic plan and to set priorities for our college in the future. To ensure that our mission, vision, and values align with community needs, we're hosting 3 community input sessions in early February and invite you to participate and share your thoughts with us. The sessions will all be the same, so you can pick the one that suits your schedule. We will have sessions on February 2nd at 12 p.m. on the Monterey campus, February 6th at 3 p.m. on the Monterey campus, and February 7th at 5:30 p.m. on the Marina Education Center campus. Second, we're excited to share that we're currently planning for a significant expansion of MPC's Education Center at Marina, which we think is going to be of particular interest to all of you as well. In November 2020, voters approved a $230 million bond measure for MPC for facilities and technology improvements across all 3 of our campus locations. Among other projects, this is going to allow us to transform the Marina Educational Center into a go-to destination for education and training in our region. We recognize that healthcare and hospitality and tourism are 2 of the region's top industries, and we're excited to consider the role that the Marina Education Center will play in supporting our ability to expand those pathways in our region. In addition to hosting numerous academic and career training programs, the Marina Education Center expansion will also feature a complement of student services programs and support services such as counseling, financial aid, tutoring, health services, and much more. To ensure that the Marina Education Center plan aligns with the community needs, we're hosting an additional 3 community input sessions specifically focused on the expansion of the Marina Education Center. These will be held in late February. And again, we welcome your participation. We really need to hear from our community about how we can best serve you all. Those will be held on February 21st at 2 p.m. at the Marina Education Center, February 23rd at noon on the Monterey campus and by Zoom, and Wednesday, February 27th at 5:30 p.m. at the Marina Education Center. And we look forward to hearing from our community and hopefully getting a lot of great ideas about how we will grow and expand in the future. I do have information if anyone would like those dates in written form as well.
Thank you very much. Maybe you can leave some of the written information on the table. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Marina City Council, Alex Miller. You know, when I was running my first election, somebody told me the joy's in the journey. The joy is absolutely in the journey, and the joy's in the journey with all of you guys, and including you, Christina. You've done a very good job on here, and you've made us all proud in the peninsula. We've been paying attention to you in Seaside, and you've made the whole region look good. So we're thankful for that, and we wish you much success in the future. And on behalf of the city of Seaside, we want to bring you guys in and do a project together somewhere so that we can work together as a community, as a whole community. So thank you very much, and good job, Christina. Good luck. Wish you the best.
Thank you very much for having come to Marina. Oh, we have one additional speaker here. That's okay, one next.
Yeah. Thank you. My name's Jeff Uchida. I'm a resident of Marina, and I'm on the MPUSD school board. Couple things. First of all, congratulations and thank you for your service. I've always relied on Christina. She is a bulldog. She will get things done, and in some regards, we'll be losing some of her attributes and what she does. But again, I think it'll also free her to do other things when you're not bound by council and rules and stuff like that. One other thing, the Marina High School multi-use project is moving. We should be breaking ground soon. I think we're in a phase right now for public comment. So there's a period of time somewhere in those, it's not a CEQA thing, but it's just a opportunity for people to have any concerns, voice them now, but look forward to that. We have a very active booster club at Marina High School. And I think all of you are aware how good our elementary schools are and our middle school. So I invite you there too. And I also want to be, keep you guys more in the loop of information that's going on, but all my best to Christina. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we had one speaker on Zoom. Mr. Doug Jans. Okay, Mr. Jans, you are unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I just want to say personally and on behalf of Marina Community Partners and Shea Homes, want to thank Councilwoman Christina Medina for all of her service, support to the community, to everything that she does. She's, as a former city manager, I can tell you, I understand very well all the hours and the commitment and the sacrifices that are made by council members for their community. And I just want to thank Christina. I wish I could be there in person to do so, but I I just want to thank her on behalf of myself and for Shea Holmes for everything she's done for the community of Marina and for the Dunes Project, and wish her very well on her endeavors, which I know will be just as fruitful and great as they have been for her time and her tenure on the City of Marina City Council. So thank you, Christina. Really appreciate your service.
Thank you, Mr. Dagian. And I see that we have one more speaker on Zoom. Oh, we have two more? It's, yeah, if you have one or two more. Okay, if you can please unmute Nancy Fortman. Yes, Nancy, can you hear us?
Yes, good evening. This
Good
is
evening.
this is a technical question, and I don't know if anything can be done. But when we watch the meetings on Zoom, during public comment, our screen shows this large picture of the clock, the timer, and a teeny tiny picture of the speaker. And I was just wondering if that could ever be reversed so we could see the speaker more clearly with their name instead of the clock. So just a technical thing. I don't know if you have any control over that, but it would be great being at home watching to be able to see the faces of the speaker. Thank you. And thank you, Christina, for all your service.
Thank you very much, Nancy. We will, I'm sure that staff has heard your question and we will try to find out if it's possible to reverse that. So thank you. And we have one last speaker on Zoom.
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, yes, good evening. Please, you can speak now for up to 3 minutes.
Right,
Thank you.
yeah. I also, my name is David Kong. I'm a school board member in Greenfield. I also wanted to thank Christina Medina for her service on the Marina City Council, and good luck with her future endeavors. And we have a, what's that, unfulfilled lunch date. So I guess we'll have to get together and take care of that. So Christina, we'll talk. So good luck with your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for your comments. I now close public comments. And that will take us to the consent agenda. These are items that are considered to be routine and non-controversial. All items under the consent agenda may be approved by one motion, and prior to such a motion being made, any member of City Council may ask a question or make a comment about an agenda item, and staff may provide a response. If discussion or a lengthy explanation is required, Council may remove the item from the consent agenda and it will be placed at the end of other action items. Would any members of the Council like to ask a question or make a comment, or would you like to pull any items from the consent agenda? Councilmember Biala?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I would like to pull 10G1 and 2. I have an issue with the contracts, and I think it's best if we pull it because I think it would have to do with the approval as it stands now. So I think I need to pull it. Thank you.
We will move that to the end of the
Thank you.
item 13. Councilmember Medina Dirks.
I was going to make a brief comment on
Okay.
that item, but I'll save it. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
I wanted to make a comment on 10F2. Thank you. This is a $10,000 cash donation from the Sea Haven Fund of the Community Foundation for Monterey County. They will be providing financial assistance seed money for our activity program. So I want to, there is somebody from the Community Foundation here. I just want to say thank you very much, Alyssa Smith and the Sea Haven Fund for planting this seed, which will allow for financial scholarships for people taking advantage of recreation programs in our city. This is fantastic. We greatly appreciate it. So please let the funder know that we appreciate their partnerships. And if there's any other companies out there that would like to partner with us, talk to Andrea Weiler. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Would any member of the council like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 10G1 and 10G2?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed say nay. The motion passes with Mayor Delgado being absent. Item 11, public hearings. Our scheduled public hearing about the city's coastal hazards and sea level rise local coastal program amendment has been continued to a future meeting. The staff will renotice this matter when it's rescheduled for the agenda. That takes us to 13, the other action items. Members of the public will be able to give up to 3 minutes to speak for each item. 13A is adopting a resolution to receive $1 million disbursement from the State of California Department of Aging through the Office of Senator Laird for the Marina Senior Center. And we have Justin Tran from Senator Laird's office here to present this funding information. But first, this action item will be introduced by the Recreation and Cultural Services Director, Andrea Willer.
Thank you very much. Just real quickly, I think the council knows and hopefully the community knows we have a wonderful senior program where we offer fitness classes and social clubs and different hobby related activities like the sewing club and the card making club and whatnot. But we do not have a dedicated space. And so some of our programs are here at the community center, some are at Vince DiMaggio. We're looking for other spaces. And so this agenda item is to recommend that council receive the $1 million funding allocation from the State of California Department of Aging and also authorize the finance director to make the necessary budgetary entries. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Justin Tran.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. Just for a quick introduction, my name is Justin Tran. I am Senator Laird's press secretary, and the senator wished he could be here. Unfortunately, he is in Sacramento for the legislative session, but he's just so thrilled to have worked with all of you and your city staff to get this appropriation for $1 million for the seniors here in Marina. The senator has been a long advocate for senior care. He was a champion for the California Master Plan on Aging. I sit on the LDAP committee for the senator for the Alliance on Aging here in the county. And so senior care and services for our seniors is something that he deeply, deeply cares about. And he's so excited to have all of you as partners to collaborate to make sure that this funding not only comes to your city, but you guys actually are able to use it for our seniors. So again, on behalf of Senator Laird, I just want to say thank you. And then just lastly, on behalf of Senator Laird to you, Councilmember Medina Dirksen, I just want to say thank you for all the work that you've done on behalf of the council. And so on behalf of Senator Laird, I would like to present you a certificate of recognition from the California State Senate for all the work that you've done. So again, thank you. I don't know who I should leave this with or you.
Yes, yes, yeah. Will you do that? Picture, yeah. I'm going to. Thank you very much for your words and for the $1 million. And for your nice words for Councilmember Medina Dirksen. Let's take it to the public first. See if would any members of the public like to speak on this item? If so, here in the room, please raise your real hand. And if you're on Zoom, please raise your Zoom hand. Seeing none. Councilmember Biala, you would like to speak about this item? You'd like to make a motion?
Mhm.
Perfect.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2020XX of the City Council of the City of Marina to receive $1 million in funding allocation from the State of California for the Marina Senior Center.
If you get a second.
I'll second and a quick comment if I may.
Of course.
I just want to thank Senator Laird's office. He's up for re-election. I don't think he has an opponent, but I hope that we all remember that he's always had Marina in his mind. So, and then the second part of that is, as we receive this $1 million, I hope we as a city use it. right? And we don't sit on it for too long. So we're grateful for the money and now we've got work to do. So thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Oh, sorry, I missed your, sorry.
I
Councilmember
do want
Marina,
to, thank you for acknowledging me, Mayor Pro Tem. I too want to really thank Senator's office for this funding. For many years, we were trying to get a dedicated senior space, and we were damned if we did and damned if we didn't, because we didn't have a dedicated space. So to be able to get grant money, you needed to have a dedicated space, but we didn't have a dedicated space. So this is huge for us. This is game changing for us. So on behalf of my city, my constituents, it's already making an impact. We've had plans, big plans, and we have a wonderful rec director to carry them out and a staff that's ready to. So we greatly appreciate the senator's support and your office's support in being here. So just on behalf of all of our citizens, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, I hope that we can show something what was done with this enormous grant within not too long. And I know that Andrea will work with the seniors to survey what they would like. Yes. So we have the motion. Everybody remembers the motion to accept the grant. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes with Mayor Delgado being absent. Item 13B, update from California State University Monterey Bay President Dr. Vania Quinos will be rescheduled to an upcoming council meeting. 13C, adopting a resolution approving a resolution of support for the Lead Me Home 5-year plan update by the Coalition of Homeless Service Providers. Assistant City Manager Matt Mogensen will introduce this item for us.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. That's a lot to say in one sentence. The Coalition of Homeless Service Providers provides coordinated support for homeless services in Monterey and San Benito counties. The coalition's mission is to eliminate homelessness in Monterey and San Benito counties by promoting partnerships and interagency collaboration. So the item before you tonight is to approve the coalition or a resolution of support of the coalition's 5-year plan to reduce homelessness in these two counties. And with us tonight is Mahmoud Abbasi, the governance coordinator for the coalition, and she's going to present that plan for us and let us know a little bit more about what the coalition does.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate this space. And thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to talk about our Lead Me Home plan. My name is Mahnoor Abbasi, and I am the governance coordinator at the Coalition of Homeless Services Providers. And I have a colleague, Elaine DeColony, joining us from Zoom. Elaine, if you don't mind introducing yourself real quick, and then we can jump right in. If
We'll
you can
need to
hear us.
promote her really quickly, so. Okay.
It's Elaine. You see that she has her hand raised.
So she can unmute herself.
Elaine, if you can hear us and if you don't mind introducing yourself. If not, we can go ahead. Awesome.
Great. Hi, Elaine DeColony, and I am the COC advisor for the Coalition on Homeless Service Providers, and I have worked 30 years in the field of addressing homelessness and am here providing technical assistance to the coalition in this endeavor. Thank you for considering the plan, and thank you, Mahnoor, for inviting me to introduce myself.
Thank you, Elaine. Okay, so I'm here to talk about the Lead Me Home plan, which is our 5-year plan to reduce homelessness in both Monterey and San Benito counties. And yes, and I'm with the Coalition of Homeless Services Providers. And if you don't mind switching to the next slide, please. So let's talk about who we are first. So next slide, please. So the Coalition of Homeless Services Providers, we serve as the continuum of care for both Monterey and San Benito counties. So what is a continuum of care? The continuum of care program, according to the 24 Code of Federal Regulations, Part 578, is designed to promote a community-wide commitment to the goal of ending homelessness and to also provide funding for such efforts, as described by U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD. And so we, the Coalition of Homeless Services Providers, are the administrative entity for the Lead Me Home continuum of care for both Monterey and San Benito counties. And then talking about our board is called the Leadership Council. So Leadership Council, which is our continuum of care board, helps sets policies and standards, determines funding priorities and resource allocations, provides strategic direction, and ensures accountability among stakeholders for regulatory compliance and progress towards ending homelessness in both Monterey and San Benito counties. And our Leadership Council board is representative of the work that we do, which is why they include four homeless or formerly homeless representatives. And the Leadership Council also consists of 26 members, out of which 20 are appointed and 6 are elected. Let's talk about our plan overview. So what exactly is our Lead Me Home plan? Our Lead Me Home plan is the community's plan for housing homeless people, again, in Monterey and San Benito counties. And then our goal is to reduce homelessness by 50% through our 5-year plan. So results from the planning process. We have ensured that our updated plan is informed by local data, number one. Number two, integrates input from local stakeholders and people with lived expertise. And number three, is aligned with current and national best practices. So how was the plan developed? Well, CHSP, the Coalition of Homeless Services Providers, we worked with Focus Strategies, which is a data-driven organization. And one of their goals is also to reduce homelessness, to help us guide and develop our plan. So CHSP, the coalition, and then the Focus Strategies, we worked together to develop a plan with the County of Monterey, Department of Social Services, County of Monterey Health Department, and then County of San Benito Health and Human Services, along with City of Salinas. Feedback was sought from community stakeholders, including people with lived experience of homelessness. The planning process incorporated robust data analysis and engagement of key stakeholders in strategy development and extensive community input. And some of those examples are predictive modeling, housing market gaps analysis, and then community surveys, and then development sessions, program and system performance analysis, as well as preliminary system assessment. Our guiding principles are embedded with dignity and respect, informed by people with lived experience of homelessness, housing focused, data driven towards results, coordinated, and equitable and social justice oriented. Do you mind going back one slide, please? Yeah, so let's talk about our goals and strategies and how do we actually plan on implementing the strategies and what is the way forward. So as I already mentioned, that our goal is to reduce homelessness by 50% within Monterey and San Benito counties over the next 5 years through our Lead Me Home plan. So there are 3 overarching strategies that we intend to employ to reach our goals. The first is to increase participation in homelessness solutions by leaders and key stakeholders across the region, which is why I'm here today. Second is to improve performance of the homelessness response system in providing pathways to housing. And the third is expanding service-oriented responses to those who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness. So let's talk about the first one, which is why I'm here again, is to increase participation by leaders and key stakeholders across the region. And how do we do that? We request that you adopt the 5-year plan and establish a region-wide vision and action plan that all stakeholders and community members can contribute to. Number 2 is investing strategically by developing a data-informed and strategic regional investment strategy so that our investments align to achieve our goals and report annually on results of investments. And number 3 is to build political will for affordable housing so that we can provide public support for affordable housing to people who are extremely low income or experiencing homelessness. 4 is to include people with lived experience of homelessness so that we together can create structures and processes to more meaningfully include people who have experienced homelessness in designing, implementation, and evaluation of the homelessness response system. 5 is to engage new partners, such as engaging new jurisdictions and systems and entities who have not participated in our leadership council meetings before. And number 5 is to apply an equity lens, just to make sure that we address the ethnic and racial disparities in our homelessness response system across the region. Next slide, please. Strategy area 2 is to improve performance of the homelessness response system in providing pathways to housing. And how do we do that? So first is to prevent homelessness, working on making sure that we prevent homelessness in the first place by having targeted prevention strategies being implemented. Number 2 is that we enrich and expand mobile outreach services so that we can provide solution-oriented outreach throughout the region, especially to the underserved parts of our county, such as South County in Monterey, South County, and then San Benito County. And then 3rd is to provide local barrier shelter. Next slide, please. 4th is to expand housing solutions by increasing capacity to provide housing exits through expanding services and support to get people into existing spaces that are available and can house them. And then expanding availability of rental assistance, and then building more permanent supportive housing and extremely low income affordable housing. And then number 5, it's really important to support people to retain their housing in the first place. So providing robust housing retention support that really helps people manage behavioral health issues and those who are experiencing health conditions. Number 6, is embracing housing first. And 7 is implementing performance measurement and continuous quality improvement, making sure that we see what is working and what's not. And if something is working, let's work together to make it even better. So let's talk about our strategy area 3, which is expanding service-oriented responses to those who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness. So first is providing services and supports to people living in the encampments. Prioritize services, which is a key element of encampment response, including hygiene, safety, and service connections. And then building collaborative relationships with those who are living in the encampments so that we can include them in the decision-making processes, and then we make sure that we meet their needs and are able to house them effectively. And then providing safe and temporary locations for people to stay who have no place to stay. And number 4 is connecting unsheltered people to housing so that we can get them housed. Next slide, please. So let's talk about our priority population. So according to our plan, there are 4 basic categories, and these are the people who have complex needs and they face the most challenges in securing housing. So number 1 are the people who are experiencing chronic homelessness, and chronic homelessness is when you have nowhere to go. You just don't have a shelter or a roof over your head. And number 2 is youth and young adults leading up to the age of 24. The 3rd category is the people who are undocumented, the migrants who do not have their residential documents. And then the fourth is people who are trying to re-enter the community from by exiting the criminal justice system. So implementation and evaluation, the action plan for year 3, we're currently in year 3 of our 5-year Lead Me Home plan, is included in this plan update and can be available to you upon request. And then CHSP, the coalition, we will track and report annually on community progress towards meeting the plan goals and targets. And that is also available upon request if you like to read a lot. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening to me. And I really appreciate you guys giving me the space to talk about our Lead Me Home plan. If you have any questions, and if you have any difficult questions, I'm sure Elaine would love to answer them.
Yes, thank you very much, Magnora, for your presentation. Let's take it out to the public first, before we forget. Would any member of the public like to speak on this item? If so, please raise your real hand here in the chambers or your virtual hand on Zoom.
Actually, I would like to invite Mayor Lebar, and I wasn't sure because he had work commitments, but I see that he's able to make it. So I would just like him to share the platform and speak on, because Mayor Lebar is from King City and they have implemented our 5-year Lead Me Home plan. So I just would like for him to speak on how his city's experience has been after implementing the plan, and if there's anything else that he would like to share.
Good evening, Mayor Lebar. It seems that you are unmuted, so please go ahead and speak. Oh, is he not? Oh, Mayor Lebar, can you please unmute yourself?
I apologize for that. Thank you. Thank you, Council, for this opportunity to be part of this presentation. I just wanted to give a city perspective of what it means to our small community and for the region. So we found it very helpful as we developed our project in King City to be part of the Lead Me Home plan, because it helped us align our strategies and our priorities with actual funding sources. And I think this is where the plan is key from the city perspective, is the COC has taken the time to align all of its goals, all of its work to what the state and the federal government is looking for. And this plan helps them position in a much stronger way for grants. And as more communities come online and adopt the plan, it also, again, strengthens our local community for any grants we go out for, but also the COC. The most important thing, I think, other than the ability to get funding for our projects, is the partnerships that you create and knowing what resources are available for whatever needs you have within your community. Those conversations are crucial. And thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, I'm always free to answer.
Thank you very much, Mayor Lebar. It's good to hear your experiences for the city of King. Thank you. We don't have any more people who wish to speak from the public, I think. No? No. Okay, I will close public comments.
Thank you.
And the council members might have questions for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Let's see. Councilmember Medina Dirksen.
I want to thank you for that presentation. It's
you.
very thorough. I do have a question. Who is fulfilling the tasks? Who are your partners? I know you said there's an evaluation that's online, but it's a plan, but who's implementing it? Right. Before answering it, I would like to see if Elaine has something to add to it. And I say that because Elaine has decades of experience with the continuum of care. So before answering, I might refer to what she has to say.
Well, thanks, Magnora. And what I will say is that it's the answer in a way is everybody. the plan is better, the more people are involved in implementing it. The staff of the coalition are kind of project managing all the work, but King City is one of the people that is implementing the task because they're working on building more housing, and they used one of their hotels as interim shelter in the city of Salinas and the counties. So part of what is great about a plan is it is a regional strategy, and it is a way that each group can plug in and do the tasks that they're equipped to do. Cities approve the siting of projects, and county health departments and social services might fund the staffing that provides the support to keep people housed. But if every partner knows what each other's doing, you can bring the resources together. What the coalition does is manage the coordinated entry and also manage the homeless management information system. So it does the data and reporting. So it's kind of keeping track of all the various aspects of the project. But the who is everybody, I guess, in short. But Mark Nor, you may want to add some more to that, or Mayor LeVar.
Thank you. I appreciate
I would
that.
just add as an example, in King City, as we're working through our project and engaging the residents that we moved them from the encampment, a group from CSUMB, Che, which is aligned with the COC, they came down and they were just amazing the way they engaged our homeless residents in a very comforting manner. And I had never heard of them before. So the connections through the COC, and as we work together, our partnerships just start enhancing each other. And I found that amazing. Great example.
Thank you, Mayor LeVar. Did that answer your questions, Councilmember Medina Dirksen?
It did, and I think Councilmember McCarthy may have some follow-up too.
Okay, please go ahead, Councilmember McCarthy.
If I can just add, thank you, Mayor LeVar, for coming and being part of this and leading. It's a cross-boundary issue, and people's lives are at stake. So I appreciate all that you do. Thank you.
I have the pleasure of meeting you prior to today and kind of a collaboration that Sorry. I appreciate the collaboration the coalition has offered to the city of Marina. Obviously a very divisive issue, and the work that you are doing and your team is unlike work that most people do. So I'm very appreciative of that. I'm sure it's very difficult. I'm supportive of this plan overall. It doesn't mean I don't have concerns. I just want to voice a couple of those, primarily to the council, before we vote on this. First is this concept of housing first. I'm not sure that is the concept that's really going to win the day for Californians, but I understand that is a state level policy directive that at this level we don't have a lot of say in, and so I don't feel like that should be a deal breaker for accepting or rejecting a plan like this. But I want to voice that housing first has some concerns, and frankly, like many things, it's interpreted in different ways to different people, right? So in theory, it's supposed to mean let's get people housed and we can work on sobriety and criminality. In practice, what often happens is it means let's just house people and let them be not sober for indefinitely, right? And so kind of just want to voice that, and maybe that's an area of discussion that we can further down the road. Another interesting point is that Marina doesn't have representation on the Coalition for Homeless Services. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. So for the council that's not aware, the governance structure of the coalition is such that they favor some continuum in their governance structures. So they've not allowed certain cities to join, and I may be saying it in a non-politically correct way, but Marina doesn't have a seat at the table, and whereas many other cities do, and that is not slated to change anytime soon. And so the coalition would probably suggest that there's some strong reasons for that. It's an area of concern for me. And it's something that, again, something I would hope that as a council and as a coalition, we could further that discussion down the road. We want to be at the table. We want to be decision makers. And so I think I speak for all of us, right? And so just again, another topic to explore down the road. And the last thing I'll say is a point in time homeless count Supervisor Askew mentioned. I have been on vacation, haven't had a lot of time to think about it, but I would love to participate. They require at least a 2-person team go out. If either any member of the council or anyone in the audience wants to join me for that, it's on the 31st, I believe, bright and early in the morning. Please reach out to me. Let's schedule a team to go and participate in that action and help you accomplish the goals that you're trying to reach. I think that's the only comments I have for now, but again, I really appreciate you being here, and I'm happy to support this if the rest of my colleagues do. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I would just like to add to that our point in time count is coming up, and I really appreciate you bringing that up. It's scheduled to be on the 31st of January, and then 5 a.m. in the morning. So we'll have to wake up super early, and then we have 3 deployment centers, which means that we have 3 different locations where the volunteers will gather before they head out for the day and count. So one is going to be at our CHSB office in Seaside. The second deployment center is in Salinas, United Way, Monterey County, their office. And then the third is in Hollister, because San Benito County, they have their own office. And then so those are the 3 locations where we'll be gathering. And I'm happy to send over more information, whereas census tract selection and all those things, so that we can help you support with the point in time count. And we really appreciate you willing to participate.
Awesome. And if I may, Mayor, one more thing I forgot to mention. This council in their budget process allocated a significant amount of funds to create a homeless action plan. And I hope that supporting this tonight doesn't necessarily replace what we were looking to do locally and hear from our residents and hear how we can collaborate and how, what we might be doing here matches what the coalition is doing. And even if some things are different and we have some different strategies and approaches, I think that's okay too. So thank you, Mayor.
That is exactly why we're here. We want to work with you. We want to make sure that we're all on board and we work together to reduce homelessness.
Thank you, Councilmember McCarthy. And then Councilmember Biala.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. My fellow council member just brought up some things for which I am unaware of. And so I really would like to have some clarification about why we don't have a seat on the board. Is there a limit in membership, or is this a political thing? I really feel like I have to have a little bit more understanding of this, because it sounds like we might be good participants in that program. So can you speak to it, or can council member?
Elaine, if you can hear us, and I would like to know, what do you think?
Yes, I can speak to that, having supported the coalition, and as Mayor LeVar can too, because he was on the governance committee that revised the governance charter. So there are multiple ways for jurisdictions to be involved in the work of the continuum of care. The city can join and become a member, and the governance charter was recently revised to have a broad general membership of the continuum of care, and can participate send representatives to committee meetings where a lot of the ideas and proposals are crafted and generated. So you certainly can partner in that way. The council, by regulation, is to be a representative body, and for cities, the Council of Mayors appoints the city's representatives to the leadership council. I don't off the top of my head know the number of seats. They are a few seats and they can rotate. The intention is to have broad participation, but also to have a decision-making body that is a reasonable size, and even 26 members can be unwieldy. But the Council of Mayors can name its representative, can appoint several mayors with some regional distribution to the leadership body, to the leadership council. The terms are 2 years. They can rotate and change. So those are some adjustments to the governance charter that have been recently adopted by the leadership council to broaden the ways that people can participate while keeping some consistency of expertise on the leadership council and making room for new blood and new ideas. So Marina is not prohibited from participating. Mayor LaBarre, do you want to add anything to that about kind of the adjustments we've made to governance for the coalition this year and the COC?
Thank you, Elaine. Other than, yes, we have opened it up. We do look for a broad spectrum of input and experience. And look, I was appointed by the Mayor's Association, and I would welcome swapping out my seat for Marina. It really is about being involved. So it's not political whatsoever.
Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem, probably the answer to my short question took more than 5 minutes. Can I continue or shall I wait to the next round robin?
Yeah, let's give Councilmember Medina Dirksen first a chance, and then we'll
Okay,
come back to you.
thank you.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that I did take part in the point in time account twice. One when I worked with the Community Foundation, I had a team. It was eye-opening because this freeway that we all drive on, we were in the bushes, respecting people's spaces, but I never look at those bushes the same, knowing that there's human beings living out there on nights that it's raining, that kind of thing. So it made me much more aware of the human condition. I like to say here in Marina that we do know our homeless people. Our residents, our neighbors. Whenever there's events, I bring extra food. I know several of them. Our mayor is always on top of first name basis. So we're very compassionate and we want to be part of the solution. I know that there was I was very critical of a home key plan that came to our town, and we were not aware off the top of it. And the reason the criticism did come about is because we want to be part of the solution. We tend to have a very homegrown approach in our town. I just got a phone call today I was talking to the school nurse about people families getting, not being able to stay in their apartments. So first phone calls I made were to some compassionate people to see what we can do, maybe establish a program of them, so that sort of thing. So we tend to really, in our town, have a handle on it, be compassionate about it, and want to be part of the solution. So when that occurred, it just rubbed us a little wrong that we weren't part of the solution. So I say this last night, but just we are very aware and we are on the front lines in our own town, trying as best as we can without giant government involvement to take care of our residents. So happy to join the team if I'm able to. You will not, and urge anybody to do it. You will not see you will not see community. You will see community differently.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, just to add to that is the point in time count is crucial because the data that we get, how many people are living on the streets, don't have a roof over their head, because when we get that data, we're able to send it to the Congress and they're able to make better informed decisions as to how much funding we need so that we can effectively house each and every resident in our county, which is why it's so important. And I appreciate you for participating, and I hope that you get to do it again.
Thank you. Councilmember Biala, it's your turn again.
Thank you. So Councilmember McCarthy, you mentioned there's some concerns about the Housing First program, and I understand that putting people in homes without all the wraparound services, et cetera, the continuum of care is critical. But we also know that housing in general in California is in a crisis time. And so these are just not even homeless people. These are regular people with jobs. They cannot find housing. So we have a double-edged sword there, and certainly that would affect the affordable affordable units as well. So I look at this in a little different perspective, because if we need housing, we need money. And you have this wonderful template, and I hope that our city uses some of what you've outlined here, these 30 kinds of items on the year one action plan. I think it's so comprehensive, it's so well done. So I give you much kudos for that. But bottom line is, I think it's about money. And there are two things on here that talk about money, and you talk about, this is on number D, I guess, develop coordinated investment plan, looking at state and federal sources. And then the next one talks about housing trust fund or bond measure. So those to me are the most fundamental of all these strategies that you've outlined, because without money, we're really doing, I think, certainly far less than we can, and relying on volunteers. And I don't think that's enough to get us to 50% improvement in our homelessness issues. So if and you do have some other sort of secondary ones. One is about investing in acquisition and conversion of motels. And then the other one is incentives for property owners. So those are financially related too, but I see that as secondary. We can't generate the kind of numbers that we're hoping to in your program. So can you talk about where we're at with those two major chunks of money? I mean, what is the progress? Are there any updates on this, or were we just starting out looking at bond measures or looking at federal monies? And I appreciated Mayor Barr's comment about the reason why we want support for this program is we can then write grants that will generate money. But even before then, are we focused on getting large sums of money for tackling the homeless situation here?
Right. Well, thanks for the question. And I will just begin by saying that we as the coalition, we are what is known as, so we have the department, the U.S. federal, excuse me, I'm just blanking here, HUD, Housing and Urban Development, Department of Housing and Urban Development. Anyways, so you get HUD. We are the administrative entity for the federal funds that we receive from them, and then we're able to disperse them out into our community. So that is one solution that we have. If we get the funds and then we have the entities and they require the funds and they're already working and they have the solutions to effectively house people, then that is one opportunity. And then the other is looking at the example of City of Salinas. Like they recently received, it's a huge number, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but they received a huge grant for the Encampment Resolution Fund. So that is another way to secure funding. And then I will, if Elaine, are you still on there? And if you have anything to add, I would appreciate that, because that's what comes off the top of my head.
Sure. So the encampment resolution money is new money. Also, we worked with state Medicaid for a couple of $1 million across both counties for providing supportive services to Medicaid eligible folks who are homeless, to get them into and keep them housed. The state of California has also added funds through the HHAP. I don't know what both H's. I think it's Homeless and Housing Assistance Program, but the
You're right.
that has resulted in about $4 million of award across the two counties. Again, a lot of it administered, allocated by the coalition. And you have to come together as a COC to get access to those resources, just as Mayor LeVar noted. So the state sets aside a certain amount of money, but you have to come together with the community plan and agreed upon strategies, which the coalition has facilitated and enabled, drawing down multiple millions of dollars over multiple years for the state, for this region. So those are a couple of examples. I don't know about a trust fund or a bond measure. Mayor LeVar may know that. I if one
he's not on.
exists that we may not have, that may be a thing that we need to do that's talked about in the plan and hasn't happened yet.
Okay. And so the HUD, are you already the identified coalition to receive the HUD money? So how
Yes.
much is that, did you say?
The amount for the funds that we receive.
Yes.
Well, it's in billions, so it's a big amount. And then so we have a rating and ranking panel and make sure that we release those funds through a competitive process. So different agencies and entities have to apply for that, and depending on who qualifies and based on standard ranking, and then who gets who scores the highest based on the projects that they have completed and successfully housed people is what determines how much funding they get through us.
So can you allocate some for your own action plan or not?
Not for our own, because that would be the conflict of
Right.
interest.
So you don't have, you can't have that money. So
No.
so it's just
Yeah.
the other two funding sources.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So thank you very much for that information, because the money funding for all this wonderful plan, that's so key in my perspective.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just looking up while we're talking, the HUD award to this continuum of care, which is Salinas and Monterey County, is just under $3 million. And it's allocated across multiple rapid rehousing and permanent supportive housing projects, and the operation of the coordinated entry and the homelessness management information system. So it's just under 3 million annually.
Thank you. So that means about 9 million you have maybe in your purview. So that's at least a start. You could use a whole heck of a lot more.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. No more questions from Councilmember McCarthy?
Yeah, just one quick follow-up to Councilmember Biala's comment. The number that's always in the media, right, is that we spend upwards of $40,000+ a year per homeless person, as it is. And I'm just wondering, do we have an idea of what's it going to take to make it? If that's not working, is it $100,000 per person per year? Is it? I mean, it's an honest question. I know it sounds a little facetious, but do we have any idea what that number is? What's the funding that's really required to make a dent in this problem?
That's a great question. And we're also trying to find the answer to that question, because with the housing prices going up and the rent increasing, and then recently a report came out which says that homelessness across the country has risen. So it has increased. So with the rate of inflation, just to keep up with it, and then the rent prices, it'll keep going up. So that's such a complex question. And just to find the answer, I think that is where all our trouble lies, is that if we're able able to secure enough funding, but then keep up with the inflation and everything that's going on in the country with the rent prices increasing. So that is what we are trying to accomplish. But it's really difficult and it's complex. But yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The coalition, CSH has done a needs assessment. They published it last year in 2023, and their estimation is that California would need to spend about $8 billion a year for the next 12 years to bring homelessness down to you may have heard the term functional zero, so that if people have a housing crisis and they lose housing, they are back into permanent housing within 3 to 6 months, so that you don't have people living on the streets and in the bushes for years. I think the $40,000 that you're referencing, and those dollars get thrown around a lot. One of the challenges is that we're spending that on people out on the streets, and it costs almost as much money to provide a shelter bed as it does to provide a unit of permanent housing. So it may not be that the dollar number per person needs to go up. We just need to spend it differently. We're spending a lot of money in encampment cleanings and moving people from place to place, in managing the trash and things that come from people living outdoors and having to do the things that we all have to do: throw things away, go to the bathroom, bathe, have clothing and eat and things like that. And so homelessness is expensive to manage. And I think part of the thing to think about in those numbers is not just what we're spending on leaving people homeless, but what it takes to house them and solve their homelessness. And I think it's a cost shift as well. There will be an increase, but it's also a shift from spending money policing encampments to spending money housing folks.
Thank you all. And we all can agree that this is a enormous problem, a regional problem that, of course, asks for regional solutions. And I'm sure that we cannot solve it here tonight. And I'm also sure that I was not the only one who was feeling kind of embarrassed reading this report while it was raining outside and I was sitting in my warm home with a cup of coffee. And so I would like a council member to make a motion.
So I'd like to move to adopt the resolution number 2024-XX approving support for the Lead Me Home 5-year plan update by the Coalition of Homeless Service Providers.
I'd like to second that motion.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. The motion passes with Mayor Delgado being absent. Thank you again so much, Magnor, for your presentation, and I can only wish you good luck with what you're doing. And thank you for mentioning the counting on the January 31st. Really, I was prepared to get up early and go with you, but I'll be out of town that week. I will also miss the puzzle palooza. So but thank you for doing that, and thank you for all the volunteers who will go out.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, then next item is 13D. Adopting a resolution authorizing execution of employee contract amendment number 3 with City Manager Lane Long, and Human Resources Director Belinda Varela will introduce this item for us.
Good evening, Council. In November of 2023, the council approved memorandum of understandings with the Marina directors and several other employee groups. The agreements called for a 4% cost of living adjustment for most of them. And it is requested that the city manager receive the same cost of living increase provided to all of those groups. And I just want to clarify that in the staff report, the increase, it's noted that the increase would become effective the pay period following this approval, but actually in line with what was approved for all of the other groups would be retroactive to July of 2023. And I just want to note that Government Code Section 54953C3 requires that before taking final action, we must orally report a summary of the recommendation regarding salaries, salary schedules, or compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits of a local agency executive. And the proposed city manager salary with the 4% increase is included in the staff report and in the amendment attached. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Let's first take it out to the public. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak on this item, either here in person or on Zoom? Please raise your hands. Seeing none. Council members, do you have any questions for Belinda? Councilmember McCarthy.
So just to clarify, the 249 number, that's not inclusive of fringe benefits, is that correct? Or
Right, that is salary.
okay. Do you have the number in all inclusive with fringe benefits or?
I don't have the exact number, but it's about, I think, 38 point something percent when you include a fully burdened rate for an employee.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted that to be on the record for the public and everyone else. So, thank you.
Councilmember Medina Durs.
Also for the public to know, how often are these adjustments being made? We did them for employee groups, and now how often do we do it for our city manager?
It depends on their contract. For Lane, there is language in his contract that his performance would be evaluated, compensation would be evaluated on an annual basis.
What does his contract go through?
What do you mean?
When does his contract go? Is it like a 2-year contract, a 6-year contract?
I think his is annually, and that's the language that I have here, an annual contract.
Councilmember Biana.
So in that contract, does it assume or does it state that there would be a cost of living increase commensurate with other employees? And he is an employee. He's in the
It
contract.
does state, sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah,
to interrupt
yeah.
you. It does state that he would get benefits and compensation, let me see, competitive market compensation for city managers for comparable cities, and then any benefits that other groups are afforded, specifically the directors group,
Okay.
that he would be in line with them.
Okay, but somehow we missed him in this
We
Let's
did.
Go. So, so obviously in my mind, absolutely, we need to do this, and I'm sorry that we missed it. So if there isn't any further, I can make a motion.
Please do so.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh.
Councilmember Medina Durs.
One last question. Is it a 4% and another 4%? So is it 8% since we
Well,
missed
he
it
would
last-
need to come back. We'll need to bring his contract amendment back. So right now it's just for fiscal year FY 23 to 24.
Got you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I would move to adopt the resolution number 2024XX authorizing execution of the employee contract amendment number 3 with Lane Long City Manager, authorizing adjustments to the city salary schedule and compensation plan, and authorizing the finance director to make appropriate accounting and budgetary entries.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes with Mayor Delgado being absent. Brian. And thank you very much, Belinda. This takes us to item 13E. City Council to consider options regarding the public comment section on the agenda, and Assistant City Manager Matt Mogensen will introduce this item.
Thank you once again. I'll try and frame this for the council's discussion. So the council has been reviewing and revising its rules and procedures of conduct for meetings for quite some time now. And you've been looking at increasing public engagement and improving the efficiency of meetings. So the discussion tonight focuses on the public comment component of this discussion. And the factors for consideration in this discussion that we pointed out before include the council's desire for public input and transparency, desire to get business done. We have lengthy agendas, the protection of First Amendment freedoms for people who do public comment, and also to address hate speech that was going on around the area for quite a while. So some of the different options that have been thrown out in the past, the recent past, include limiting the total time for public comment. And that can be done in a variety of different ways. Moving the general public comment to the end of the meeting, limiting the public comment at the beginning of the meeting. So if you set it for 15 minutes, you would, when you exhaust 15 minutes, you'd come back for the rest of the comment later on the agenda. And the last option that's been discussed is just temporarily suspending the virtual comments and reverting to just back in person only. So with that, the action that would be before you tonight, if you were to take one, would be to direct staff to come back with some changes to those previous rules that you put in place. So staff then would put on a future agenda with those changes included, and then you would vote on it at that point.
Thank you. And let's definitely take this one out to the public first. So if there are any members of the public who would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand on Zoom. Seeing none, I'll close public comments. And council members, would you like to ask any questions or do you have any comments, discussion? Councilmember Biala?
Did you want to go first? Okay. Okay. First, let me say that our council has really been struggling with our time issues. And so I feel like we very much honor the public input. And I think that all of us, without exception, really value the input, and we synthesize it and we base many of our decisions on what we hear at council meetings from the public. So having said that, it's a real struggle to get through our meetings. It looks like today we might really actually set a record. But other than that, it's very exhausting for us. And for that reason, I would like to support the public comment of things not on the agenda. Everybody gets 3 minutes approximately for every agenda item, and that will stay forever. And the public comment of things not on the agenda is also required by the Brown Act, but I think that it takes less priority for us that we're struggling so much to get through the things that absolutely are imperative that we get through. So my thought is, my preference is that we put it to the end. We put a limit of 30 minutes on it, that we also do the rules regarding decorum, so that if there is some hate speech or whatever, that we have the ability to curtail that. And I think that's pretty much it. I would not be in favor of number 3 or 4. I think we need the hybrid, and I also don't think that it's appropriate for us to give precedence to things that are not on the agenda, and that we move it to the end. So those are my comments. Thank you, Ms. Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
Councilmember McCarthy.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with Councilmember Biala that moving towards the end might be a good idea. This is a business meeting and we have a lot to accomplish on a regular basis. I disagree maybe slightly a little bit in terms of how we regulate criticism. It's very uncomfortable, but I do fundamentally think that the public should have an opportunity to criticize their elected leaders, as long as it doesn't delve into that area of hate speech, as long as it's not disruptive. It makes me very uncomfortable to think that will happen, but I also think that that's just a right that the courts have decided that people have. And so I just want to be, when and if we do craft kind of some rules of decorum, that we're very careful not to be too limiting. I was at the League of California Cities meeting this year, and there was an interesting thing. The lawyers were talking about a member of the public that came up and actually just started undressing as they were giving public comment. And because that city didn't have that in their rules of decorum, you must be clothed. You know, the lawyers were basically indicating that it was iffy on whether you wanted to regulate that or not, whether that was really considered disruptive or free speech. So I do think it's important to have some rules of decorum that maybe prevent some of those kind of scenarios. But in terms of criticism, I just want to make sure the public knows that they have a right to criticize our elected leaders, no matter how uncomfortable that is.
Mayor Pro Tem, may I just ask a quick question of what you just said? So it's talking about hate speech, not criticism. So I don't know how you read that this number 4 recommendation about curtailing hate speech is criticism.
I thought I heard you use the word criticism. Maybe I misunderstood.
No, criticism, no, is welcome.
Okay.
But although I think we did have at one time an item or one of the procedures that said that you should not directly use a council person's name in your criticism. You can say that it's the body as a whole or use a neutral reference. But so that's the only thing that I recall. But no, I did not use that because that's hate speech that we're talking about.
Thank you for the clarification. But that is a good point about directing criticism to an individual. And I guess I would turn to our new city attorney.
Yeah.
Whether that, from a legal perspective, we have the right to prohibit directing criticism to an individual.
I don't think so.
Okay. So I think unfortunately or fortunately, depending on what side of the fence you're on, I think we have to allow that. And I think the people that want to make that criticism know that. And if we try to curtail it, I think they will use that opportunity to sue the city. So I just think we have to be, careful and make sure that we're taking proper legal advice. I mean, we could go through a lot of examples. I think the same is maybe even true for curse words and ugly words. I don't know that those rise to the legal definition of disruptive, whether we, personally agree with that or not. But again, as we craft this, I think we would turn to the city attorney to get guidance and move forward. The last comment I was just going to make is, fortunately for those that want to criticize us, it's become really easy via social media, via all kinds of things. So, hopefully, people don't bring it here and waste our time as we're trying to conduct the city's business. But I am in favor of probably moving this to the end and just having more efficient meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to come up with or to discuss another option that I thought might be good, because I know it's so hard for people to predict, how long our meetings will be and when it will be their turn to finally give comments. So I thought, can we give priority to people who do show up in person? Because there's not much risk for hate speech, there's no risk of people speaking twice. How they on social media or on Zoom, of course, they can log in several times. So I thought if we could do that, give people who show up, they can speak at the beginning of the meeting for a limited time. If there's many people show up, it can limit it to 15 or 30 minutes total. And then people on Zoom will have to wait until the end, because for people on Zoom, it's easier to wait, as we all know. So what do you think of that option? That will be 2A or so. Councilmember Biala?
Yeah, there are some times where we've had this room filled with people and not necessarily on the agenda. And I would still feel that they should not get priority to all the people that are also waiting to speak on something on a very large agenda. So sorry, but I really feel strongly that we need to give priority to, people who are commenting on things not on the agenda. My goodness, they could write us, long emails. I read every email, and I'm sure that everyone up here does. So those things that are not pressing, they can get our attention other ways. So I would still not want to concede that other people get priority over the people in the room that are waiting till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, or 12 midnight to speak. And we are committed because the Brown Act does say that we must have that general public comment, correct? New city attorney, Renee? So we have to have it. So no matter if it's like at midnight, we still need to say, okay, now we got to stop at 11:30 because we have to have a half an hour. So that's correct, right? That we have to do. Okay. So it's guaranteed that they will be able to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Biala. Councilmember Medina Dirksen.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. As a former journalist, I am all for free speech, and it's unfortunate that we've had these Zoom bombings occur. I've been very fearful that how they were going to attack us, and this is prompting that conversation. When we do opt to move comments to the bottom of the agenda, we've gotten a lot of criticism for that just because there was never a disclaimer. And legally, I'm not sure why we didn't offer a disclaimer. Was it, well, Renee wasn't here, but was there a need? Legally, do we have to provide a disclaimer for moving public comment?
I'm not sure what disclaimer.
We're moving public comment tonight on the fly, just to,
Well, I think tonight is just to direct staff to come back with an item as to how you want to organize your agenda.
got it. Okay. I just didn't know if legally we had to give a disclaimer saying, not this meeting, but in the future, we're moving it because X, Y, and Z before we adopt a resolution or a plan of action.
We would come back, when it came back to you, it would have whatever we believe the requirements were in order to satisfy whatever First Amendment concerns there were, as well as the Brown Act.
Okay. Well, I guess my question was this. When we have had meetings, you were not on board just yet. We've had to move public comment all of a sudden to the end of and if we were to do that before we adopt something, is there legally a reason? May we, or do we have to, or should we, or is it advised to let people know why we're moving things to the end?
I think like most items that come to you, there would be a staff report and recommendation. So it would be outlined in that information.
Just knowing that this practice has happened and I've gotten a good amount of concern from community members, I'm hard pressed to make too much change without hearing from the public. And unfortunately, we don't have very many people listening in tonight. I think if we were to do something, we should ease our way into it, because if you show up for a meeting and all of a sudden it's at the very end, that's a giant waste of time. For now, I think limiting public comment at the beginning of the meeting, we're a city 45 years old, and then perhaps Anita, well, actually, you haven't been here that long. If we were always doing something a certain way, it's going to take some time to get readjusted. So I'm not in favor of changing anything right now. I think limiting the public comment to the beginning of the meeting is a good idea. I've seen it done well in other cities where it's been 15, 20 minutes and then it's cut off. The city of Salinas does that well. I've seen it happen in Monterey. But we are going to have some hot button issues. And unfortunately, the public probably doesn't believe us when we say we read everything, try to get back to everybody. And I think there's a lot of distrust that we have our minds made up, which is completely false. So I would just like to state that for now, and I would like to hear our mayor's thoughts on this too. For now, I would only be in favor of limiting the general public comment at the beginning. I like the idea of a hybrid. I don't know if there's much support, but that is a good idea. And I preface everything I say by saying I think it's more important to really hear from the public than to curtail their options in speaking to us, because that erodes the public trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Medina Dirksen. Councilmember Biala.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So just want to reiterate that what is the difference between someone who is commenting on something not on the agenda, waiting, versus somebody who is now at the end of the agenda and is going to comment on the agenda item. Either way, we have unfortunate folks that are not going to be able to speak, early. And then so here we are trying to really cut down on the amount of time that we spend in council. And, I think that still the priority should be on addressing the agenda and the public. So, I hear what you're saying, but every few minutes and certainly half an hour getting out a little bit, through earlier, a half an hour through our identified agenda of important things that have to be handled, I think is important. So I'm going to say that I still have a preference. I think that our practice of having public comment in the beginning, I think would stay the same until we change it. I mean, so I don't know that we would necessarily have to, have any disclaimers, that we'll just continue what the policy says now. And then when we approve it, then it changes. And so giving notice to the public is here in our decisions on the dais. I also wanted to raise the issue here when it says that we don't allow additional members of the public to participate if they do not raise their hands at the outset. We obviously didn't do that today, and we haven't. We tried this, and on previous meetings, I do know that we made exceptions, and I even asked for an exception. And I think that if we make these regulations, these practices, that we have to stick by it in the same way that we said we would allow 5 minutes per each person in a round robin, and we completely have not honored that. So, it's important to me that if we're serious about running a more efficient meeting, that we stick to the things that we have outlined and have voted collectively as a dais, on the dais. Thank you.
Thank you,
Madam.
Councilmember Biana. Councilmember McCarthy.
There we go. Sorry for taking a second round before you've had an opportunity to speak. After hearing my colleagues talk about their preferences, I guess I'm a little bit more confused. I mean, I'm reminded of the optics of making some of these changes. And so while I still say that we need to be effective and limit public comment, we were the only city on the peninsula for the longest time that offered 4 minutes for the public to speak. And it was something that people talked about. It was something that people were really, quite frankly, proud of for the city of Marina, right? We listened to our public, or at least that was the optics. And so having said that, I'm kind of second guessing about whether we move everything to the end. Maybe there's room to have our cake and eat it too. We offer 10 minutes of public comment up front and then move the rest to the end. First 2 people to raise their hand kind of thing. First 2 people to submit a speaker card without making it overly complex. Second thing I want to say is, and I think Heidi Quinn wrote this staff report, but number 2 has a sentence that says, under the mayor's authority to reorder the agenda, under the council rules and procedures, council has experimented with moving general public comment for non-agenda items. And I want to make it crystal clear that my understanding is that while yes, the mayor has, as chair, have the responsibility to reorder to make an effective meeting, it's really within, and again, my understanding, I would hope the council and attorney would correct me if I'm wrong, although I know our new city attorney probably does not know our procedures that well. But ultimately, it's a council decision, right? If the mayor says, no, we're going to move public comment to wherever, but the council says, point of order, no, I want to vote on this. Like, I would think that the overall will of the council would take precedence. And the reason I say that is because imagine a scenario where there's a divisive issue, everybody's come to speak. The mayor, I'm not saying this would happen with our current mayor, but 10 years from now, a new mayor may say, no, I don't really want that to be an issue, so I'm going to move it to the end, right? It can be moved for political gain, and I just want to make sure that this council is in agreement that at the end of the day, a majority vote of the council carries the day, right? The mayor runs the meeting to be efficient, but if the rest of the council is not agreeing with that, that's not what we do. Is that the understanding of staff, the attorney, and the council? Or?
With city attorney can.
That's my understanding of the rules.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
it for me. Thank you.
It's for you, Councilmember McCarthy. Councilmember Biala?
Oh, I don't want to bypass you. Did you wish? to-
It's okay. Well,
Okay.
I can say that I like the option to at least have, the 15 minutes at the beginning. So that people, there'll be a limited number of people, but at least some people will have a chance to speak without having to wait until maybe 11:30 at night. So, and if we limit it, and yeah, you need somebody who's more strict than I am to really make sure that people don't still get in. I don't see a disadvantage with it, as long as we stick to it, yeah. But Councilmember Biala.
Yeah. And so 15 minutes given to somebody who can now speak earlier than someone who is on the 10 o'clock agenda. I'm just trying to be fair to the priority of people who are speaking. But having said that, on number 2, when it says to reorder the agenda, that the mayor has the prerogative to do that. If we say, and this is the way I'm thinking about this, is if we move to change the public comment of those not on the agenda, items not on the agenda to the end, the mayor has the prerogative to say, because we have so many people here that in general public comment on items not on the agenda, he can then say, I moved that we change it and we come to the beginning. That's how I'm interpreting this. And then of course, if we all disagree, then somebody can challenge the presiding officer's decision. And so you're right. The council people as a whole get to dictate and override the mayor's decision, is my understanding of our procedures. Can you verify that, Attorney?
So the answer to that question is also yes.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
I don't see any more hands raised here. Oh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. One of the options that I think might be inferred in here, but is not explicitly said, perhaps is there are lots of city councils that do separate these into 2 separate things. You have items on the agenda and then comments on items not on the agenda. Perhaps you could have both of those in the front of the agenda, with the items that are on the agenda being unlimited time, and the items that are not on the agenda have a shorter time. And that way, if you have a couple people who show up just for that, they would get to speak in the beginning of the meeting. They wouldn't have to wait to the end. But if you have a bunch of them, then you have to wait to the end, if that makes sense. So it's 2 separate things on mini agendas. It's not one combined.
So that would be option 3.
I think it's a kind of a mixture of those options, if you ask me. Of what I just said, I think it's, yeah. Because you're separating out the 2 different things.
Councilmember McCarthy.
Can I clarify? So are you suggesting that members of the public would speak on all items on the agenda at one time and not as they are heard, as we currently do, or?
No, I'm sorry. I'm maybe taking this discussion a little bit sideways. So when we get to on our current agenda, you get to public comments. That section would be for public comments that are agendized that night. You would then take those comments, and then you could have a separate section that sometimes, like I said, is all the way at the end of the agenda for many city councils that's just on open comments. But you could potentially also do a short duration for people who, if you only have one person who wants to speak on non-agendized items and you want to take that up front, you're not taking up a lot of time in your agenda to do that. And if you have multiple people, or if it's more than, say, the 3-minute comments, then you still have your section at the end of the agenda. It's like this is suggesting in one of these options.
So you mean you intersperse comments not on the agenda throughout the whole council meeting?
Yeah, no, so.
No, okay,
let me
I'm sorry.
Pull up our agenda really quickly here. So you come to the first section, item number
8.
Item number 8,
General
public comment.
Yeah.
That's for just agenda items. That's all.
Agenda items.
Yeah.
Oh, for all of them.
Yeah.
For any of, oh.
And then you have
okay.
a separate section either at the end of the agenda, or look to the attorney. Could you have it right after items on the agenda, but a very short So if they wanted to take one person, because there's only one person in the audience who wants to speak on non-agendized items, they can do that. And then the rest of it then goes to the end of the agenda. Can you explain again? I missed sort of. Okay, so there's two public comment sections on the agenda. The first one, only for comments that are on agendized matters. The second public comment section is for items non-agendized. And that section, and again, you could just put it at the end of the agenda. So people who are non-agendized, they wait to the end of the agenda. And this is just the way I've seen it in other cities. But I think what we're talking about is maybe a hybrid to that, and that having the flexibility to allow somebody, if, Mr. Rowland, you didn't want to make him wait to the end of the meeting, that you can take that if you want to.
Well,
Yes, no, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, under the current rules, I mean, again, and you can certainly reorder the agenda, even if you set the rules, if there was some special accommodation, I think the rules provide, or we will make sure that it provides for some flexibility in those circumstances.
Councilmember Piana?
Yeah, as we try to figure out a hybrid, for example, there's something not very palatable to me when you're saying if you're going to limit public comment on non-agendized items, the first person who raises their hand gets to do it, or you have some other configuration. If it's not spelled out correctly, specifically, I think we're going to get more criticism. Like, why do they get to have this time and we have to wait to the end? I think we have to be consistent. I think we can be flexible if somebody has special needs that they can't wait to the end. And maybe we have some kind of, prior to the meeting, there are special requests from the public. If they have some issues, maybe there's critical needs with caretaking or, whatever it is, they can have some flexibility to speak earlier. But I still think that we have to prioritize the business at hand over everyone else. That's my thought still. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Piana. What would the council like to do? Would you like to let our mayor weigh in on this at a future meeting? Instead of making a motion tonight?
Yeah. If I could be recognized?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I think it's important that our mayor weighs in. We did go from 3 minutes to 2 minutes. I'm sorry, from 4 minutes to 3 minutes. How's that working out? I would like to hear from our timekeeper, from our staff, maybe even come back to us and tell us how that's working. And perhaps it needs to go down to 2 minutes. Perhaps people who are speaking on items not on the agenda can get a little bit less time because they do have the option. Everybody has the option to send us information. But I do appreciate the information that comes to us of not on the agenda, because that makes us responsive of parking problems or issues out at our properties or things like that. So I would be in favor of tabling this until the mayor's able to weigh in. Perhaps staff has an option to bring us some more hybrid options, including a just sort of a review of our, not to throw more work on them, but a review of how our step down from 4 minutes to 3 has worked, and any other comments or ideas from staff or the public. Should I fashion that into a motion?
Councilmember Piana has more.
Point of order. It looks like there is no resolution for us to make any decisions tonight, correct? So I don't think we have to do that. I think next time or whenever, I don't know when it's coming, but right. I mean, there's no action.
That's correct. There's no action. There's no motion you need to take.
Yeah.
So we will take the feedback and bring it back to you with
Great.
additional information and recommendations.
Great, thank you.
And I would like to add, I would like to know how other cities handle this, if they have a fixed time in the beginning. So option 3, how do they handle, who do they choose to speak? Do they do speaker cards, and how do you handle it with Zoom, whoever raises the hand first or not? So that's a very good question. Yes. Okay, so we can close this item. Yes, without any action. Thank you. Thank you all. That takes us to the two items that were pulled from the consent agenda by Councilmember Biala. 10G1 and 10G2. Do we need to handle them separately, I guess? Yeah, separate issues. Councilmember Biala, can you please ask your questions? for
Yes,
staff?
and it's exact same for both of those sort
That's
of
what I
my
thought.
reasons. Okay, and I have brought this up very many times in my 3 years on the council, and that is the non-discrimination clause. This one on page 7, it's just one sentence. And I have seen in other contracts some very good verbiage. And when I think that this shows that it's perfunctory, like it's meaningless to this contractor because they just are covering what they minimally need to do. And we're the contractor. So I think it's our duty to emphasize that this clause is very important for anyone working with the city of Marina. You know, this clause was federally and state mandated because people like that fall under these needed the protection. And here we've reduced it to just a sentence to say somebody, well, we have that clause in there. And I have seen some excellent examples of this. And so I don't want this to go through like this without having a better statement about the non-discrimination clause. And that is the same sentence apparently in both of these companies.
Our city attorney might be able to tell us more about the options for this.
No, I think we can certainly amend that provision in both contracts. I think this is the city standard form, but I am looking at all city templates currently, and we will make changes and adjustments. So thank you for that.
Okay.
feedback.
Thank you. So how should we do this? Do we approve these with the condition that the language be modified when the city attorney crafts a better statement? How do we do
I
that?
think as assistant city manager, you
Sure.
have input on this.
Yeah, I think I do. First of all, thank you for catching that. That is a good point. We've tried to make this language standard in our contracts. These ones were a little bit different in that they were tailored, I want to say, individually for these because they're IT in nature and so just a little bit different than our regular public safety or public service contracts. So with that said, when we were working with the prior city attorneys group to write this contract, that was not something that was carried over from other contracts. So the solution that I have to that is taking the language that you've approved in previous contracts. And I can show it to you. It's probably easier than reading it. We can put that into the final form that is the final copy of the contract before it's executed. We're also going to make a small change to the conflicts of interest section to include a word "not" that was missing as well. So there are two adjustments that we typically, have the authority within the approvals for staff to make these changes prior to it being executed.
So what is your recommendation? Should we approve this or wait?
I would recommend that you could approve it with the inclusion of your standard non-discrimination language that you put in your previous contracts, and that's
Okay.
exactly what this is.
And where's the not? Because not in a legal document could make a big difference.
Sorry, the not is in section 7, conflicts of interest.
Uh-huh.
It says consultant covenants that he probably should be that he or she has not and shall not acquire any interest directly or indirectly with the conflict. So it's missing the word not before he has.
Oh, it's pretty big.
So
In a legal document.
yeah, so we will add those in there as well.
So Councilmember Biala, would you like to make the motion?
Oh, sure.
Oh, sorry, Councilmember Medina Dirksen.
Yeah,
Go
thank you
ahead,
very
please.
much. I guess this is a question for legal as well. When we talk about the consultant, does that extend to all of the employees or just the head of the company?
Typically, a contract will define a consultant. It'll identify the company itself, and it'll use the term consultant to refer to the company, not sort of individuals. So when it refers to consultant, it refers to the company itself.
We had a situation where a consultant employee was engaged in some road rage. And they were driving a company car, I believe. May or may not have been racially charged. It happened during a, anyway, would in that situation, the consultant be held? Just if it was, I'm just wondering if we're just saying the owners, or does it trickle down to the employee driving a vehicle with the company's name on it, and they are a consultant in our city and they are involved in some sort of egregious behavior?
I mean, this gets into a little bit of complicated area called vicarious liability, where an employee may be liable. I mean, a company may be liable for the actions of their employees. So it gets a little complicated like that. Whereas whether or not that act first would be qualified as discrimination, and then second, if it could be if that person was, carrying out duties when these actions took place. So again, a lot of different steps to get to that analysis in conclusion.
Okay, it's just a idea that had, when it occurred, it was racially, it was racial. It just made me wonder, and I think I remember talking to Councilmember Biala about it in the past. I just wanted to voice concern that it should possibly cover employees that are doing behaviors in our work on our behalf in the city. That's all.
Thank you, Councilmember Medina Dirksen. And before we go to Councilmember McCarthy, I did so well, but I forgot for this item to go to the public. So if there are any members of the public who would still like to speak about this item, I apologize, I skipped this, but please raise your hand on Zoom. Seeing none, I'll close public comments, and Councilmember McCarthy.
Thank you, Mayor. And I see in the virtual audience, I think the two members of the tech team are online, so I appreciate their attendance. I think that's who I'm seeing, is that staff can confirm. I just had kind of a brief comment, doesn't require any discussion, but I certainly have some ongoing concerns about our cybersecurity approach, some of our technical approaches. A longstanding concern of mine was there were some email problems historically where constituents would be emailing us, council members, and we would perhaps never get them, or they'd be quarantined in ways that we weren't really trained to check. And so I'm just wondering if we can coordinate with staff and the tech team to either set up a meeting. I'd be interested. I sense that maybe the other council members may not be as interested in having a technical level discussion, but I would certainly like to relay some concerns and get a report back on whether some of those have been alleviated, especially in the cybersecurity realm. As most of you know, that's my personal field, and so I have some level of expertise on that. But yeah, just a general comment, and if staff would be willing to follow up, I think that would be awesome. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember McCarthy. Would you like to?
Yeah, we can certainly do that. Were we talking just one council member, or like a committee of two or something?
Yeah, I'm not sure if other council members are interested. I'd love to have a partner in crime, but I don't sense that there's probably as interest like I have. So
If it's not at 5 a.m., I could sit there with you. Yes. So maybe the two of us.
that'd be great.
Yes. Thank you. Councilmember Biala?
Thank you. When I was reading through this, and a lot of it's standard, but my sense is that I'm not a tech person. So looking at this, it's good that it looks like we generate monthly reports and they go someplace. But I was thinking, can we have some feedback from the staff? Like, have we had any virus attacks? Is this company currently doing a good job? I mean, I have no way to evaluate that, but we at least should have some kind of I don't know, like a report card on them before we approve the contracts again.
Yeah, like, would you like to help out? I believe we're starting here in Taygeta, so the cybersecurity portion, the first one. We haven't had any, ransomware or anything major attacks. There's one or two been close, I believe, that we've caught, but
So when we go back when, in our IT, like when I first started here, we did have some pretty serious, significant IT issues. Let's leave it at that. And we reached out to a few other contractors and finally reached out to TexRx. And along with TexRx, we brought in Taygeta. And between the two, they really put together secure security system for us. They've worked tirelessly. They've Taygeta on the security end has done so much for us. And, they work for the federal government. They have a lot of secret contracts and things like that. So we feel pretty confident with what they're doing for us. And TexRx has been here all along. They go above and beyond what they get paid on a contract. And since we brought those on, we have not had any of the issues that we had prior to that.
That's great. Thank you. That's what I needed to hear.
Thank you, Chief McComb.
And I'll add just on an operational standpoint now, we meet once a month and we talk about different concerns that there might be. They're constantly upgrading hardware and software to keep up with the times on things and advising us because, we don't have the technical expertise as staff really, so we do rely on them heavily to keep us up to date on these things. So we have, grown fairly confident in their ability to protect us, but it's like kind of like risk management, I guess, in a way. Sometimes it's over the top, what it feels like from the outsiders. But, they see a lot of things across all their work that they do, not just the city of Marina, that, causes them to lock it down a little bit more than I think we'd like. But a conversation is a good idea. So.
Thank you. No more questions from council members. Councilmember Biala, would you like to make a motion or do we need 2 motions for each agenda item? Yes? Oh, 1 motion? Okay, so 2. Okay.
Okay.
Councilmember Biala, would you
Okay.
like to make a motion?
Yeah, so I make a motion to adopt the resolution number 2024 exec approving a renewed agreement with Taygeta Scientific Inc. for consulting services in connection with cyber security services and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city and authorizing finance director to make the necessary budgetary and accounting entries with the condition that the non-discrimination clause be updated to, maybe he can read the thing.
So it's starting with the second paragraph under number 12, then we would add an A, and it would be during the performance of this agreement, the contractor shall comply with the applicable non-discrimination and affirmative action provisions of the laws of the United States of America, the state of California, and the city. In performing this agreement, contractors should not discriminate, harass, or allow harassment against any employee or applicant for the employment because of sex, race, color, ancestry, religious creed, national origin, physical disability, including HIV and AIDS, medical condition, including cancer, age, marital status, denial of family and medical care leave, and denial of pregnancy disability leave. Contractors shall give written notice of its obligations under this clause to labor organizations with which is that collective, which has a collective bargaining or other agreement. And the final point B is contractors shall include the discrimination and compliance provisions of this section on all subcontracts.
Thank you. Plus the correction for
Yes.
first sentence under.
Yes, and under
7A.
conflicts of interest, to put in shall not acquire any interest directly or indirectly. And then also to correct pronouns throughout the document.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. The motion passes with Mayor Delgado being absent.
Okay.
Councilmember Viala, would you like
Yeah,
to make a motion?
sure. And can I just say ditto and exactly the
so.
same two things? So if you, Anita, if you just do the same motion. Okay. Great.
Can I please get a second for this motion? Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
I,
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes with Mayor Delgado being absent. That takes us to the council and staff informational reports. Mayor Delgado is not here, so no reports from the mayor. Do any council members, would any council members like to report anything? Councilmember McCarthy.
Thank you, Mayor. Briefly, I sit on AMBAG, as you know, and we recently approved our population growth forecast. And I think I mentioned to council before that very interestingly, we are forecasting that housing will grow at a faster pace, good news, and population will grow at a slower pace, good news, right? The next step in this process is to do the regional sub-allocation. And so we know that in Marina, our population is not as likely to grow at a slower pace, we think. So it'll be interesting to see how AMBAG kind of divvies up the population growth forecast to the cities, but that's the next step. And the public's always invited to participate and try to understand that. Also at AMBAG, I was missed my very first meeting ever the last week, and somehow when I was gone, I was nominated second vice chair. so that's happened. And then lastly, the League of California Cities, I'm sitting for the following year on 2 policy committees. Last year, I was only on the public safety. This year, I'm doing public safety and transportation, utilities, public works committee. So I'm very excited about that. I don't see a police presence here now, but of course, from a legislative perspective, if their staff has any ideas that they want to talk about in terms of supporting bills that deal with public works, utilities, transportation, or public safety, like I highly encourage them to reach out. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for all you're doing. Okay, I think I was hoping we could say this. I would like to adjourn this meeting at 8:59 p.m. Thank you all. And thank you, staff. And thank you for the members of the public who are still with us on Zoom. Thank you.
Recording stopped.